Companies developing new ways to reduce CO2 emissions in our atmosphere. It's a process known as carbon capture, which works just like it sounds, by trapping and storing the harmful byproducts of burning fossil fuels. Ben Tracy visited the startups, including one here in Arkansas, leading the way in developing these new technologies.
So this place is basically pulling in pollution that we've put up into the sky.
Exactly.
What's happening here may not look like much.
It is a bunch of rocks sitting on trays.
But Shashank Samala says it has the power to rewrite history.
What carbon removal offers us is the closest thing to a time machine.
He's the CEO of Heirloom Carbon, which just opened the nation's first commercial carbon capture plant in Central California. Trays of limestone tower 40 feet high, sucking in carbon dioxide from the air like a sponge. In nature, that process takes months.
What we figured out is how to do that in about 3 days. So when CO2 molecules pass by, we're just gobbling up that CO2 molecule.
The CO2 is separated out and will be injected into rock formations underground, like at this facility, so it can no longer warm the planet. Over time, humans have pumped about 2 trillion tons of CO2 into the air. Scientists say we need to remove 5 to 10 billion tons per year by 2050 to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. Heirloom says its pilot plant removes about 1,000 tons per year.
So you acknowledge that this is very small compared to the scale of the problem.
100%. We need to build plants that are 1,000 times larger than this, and we need to build 1,000 of those.
So you got a lot of space here.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this warehouse in Arkansas, a startup called Graphite is taking leftover material from timber and rice mills and locking away the carbon dioxide that plants naturally remove from the atmosphere through photosynthesis.
This is 50% carbon.
50% carbon in that material right there, and it's dry, and because it's dry, it won't decompose.
Before the material releases its stored carbon, Graphite turns it into bricks, wraps them up, and buries them underground at sites like this one, the size of 30 football fields.
So this is where carbon goes to die?
Exactly. It's going into the ground and it will stay here forever.
As we transition to cleaner forms of energy, carbon capture is a way to offset emissions from airplanes, cargo ships, and industries like cement and steel, which for now still require fossil fuels. But critics worry carbon capture is being co-opted by oil and gas companies.
As a carbon management leader, we can get it done.
90% of the carbon capture and storage projects out there on the market are run by the fossil fuel industry.
May Bouvie is executive director of 350.org, which opposes fossil fuel use. That industry is capturing carbon at some power plants to lower emissions. Critics say that's prolonging the use of fossil fuels. Some oil companies also inject captured carbon back into the ground to push out more oil in a process called enhanced oil recovery.
They've looked for excuse after excuse about how to stay in this business and how to keep the music playing.
Both Graphite and Heirloom say they're not affiliated with the fossil fuel industry and are just trying to clean up the mess that's already in the atmosphere. Companies including American Airlines pay Graphite to offset their emissions.
Would you take money from an oil and gas company that wants to offset their emissions?
I'm just not going to answer that question right now.
That leaves it open that maybe you would.
I believe in solving climate change, and I am encouraging the fossil fuel industry to do everything they can to reduce their emissions.
Shashank Samala also won't rule out taking fossil fuel money, but he believes carbon capture is an essential part of the solution to the climate crisis.
Unfortunately, it's not an either-or. It's not a nice-to-have anymore. This is a must-have.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Ben Tracy in Central California.